at Glass Blowing Studio with our friend Mark from Connecticut.
Hi, good morning.
So we've been working on a coloring technique called crackling. So today we're going to make a crackle cup for you.
It's basically a two-color cup. It's going to be aqua blue underneath with white over. We're going to crack the outside white so that the blue shows through, and if all goes well, it's an attractive pattern. So we'll get started.
So Mark's taking a blowpipe off the pipe warmer. The pipe warmer's job is to preheat the tips of all the rods so they're nice and warm for us. The glass likes to stick to the rods when it's hot, so that's the whole job of the pipe warmer, is to make them all hot for us. Mark wasn't quite satisfied with how hot the pipe warmer got the rod yet, so he's heating it up in the glory hole a little bit more before he goes and picks up a solid chunk of color.
Which has been preheating for about an hour now.
Yep. So our color has been preheating in this little box we call the pickup box for about an hour now. So it's been soaking at about 960 degrees. It's nice and hot and ready for use. So he's got his hot blowpipe. He's going into that pickup box, and he's just going to squish it on that solid chunk of colored glass. And now he's going to go heat it up in the glory hole. So the difference between the glory hole temperature and the pickup box temperature is over 1,000 degrees. So he's not going to stick it right in that glory hole. He's going to ease his way in as to not shock the glass from the differences in temperatures. Now that it's starting to come up to that temperature, he can stick it in more and start heating it. He's getting it nice and hot so he can sit at his bench and shape it. So he's heating it right now in the glory hole. This is our reheating device. The glass is constantly heating and cooling, so we stick it in the glory hole to get it nice and hot so that we can sit and shape it however we please. He's using the back of a tool that we call the jacks to squish it onto the rod, make sure it's nice and even on there, and then give it a nice even shape. Notice that his left hand is constantly rolling to shape it. He's not forcing it, he's coaxing it into shape with the back of the jacks.
So this blue color is going to end up on the inside of the glass that we're going to make. Because all the glass in the furnace is clear, this is one of the techniques we have for getting color on it. And this is going to blow out to line the entire bubble. So it'll be a very, very thin layer of blue inside the cup. Very much give the appearance of being solid blue glass, but in reality, it's only a few thousandths of an inch thick. So we'll let this cool just a bit, and then we're going to gather over some clear glass and start our process. So the temperature of the glass when we go to gather new glass is very important. If the glass in the rod is too cold, it's going to crack and break, shedding off color into the furnace, which is not at all desirable. If it's too hot, it'll also string off some color. So one of the tricks is getting the right temperature to gather over. And this looks about right to me. We're just going to get enough glass to put a starter bubble in. Shape this up a little bit. So you can see now we've got clear glass over that little bit of color, and we're going to put a starter bubble in it. Now first I'm going to give it a reheat just to get all the temperatures equalized and try to get as even a bubble as we can. You see now we've got a nice starter bubble in there. I'm going to flatten that down just a bit, let it cool, and we're going to put some more glass on it. You can sort of see now how the clear bubble has gotten smaller. It's becoming more and more colored, and as this piece blows out, the color will spread throughout the entire piece. Now just wait to cool just a bit more before we gather more glass on it. And this looks about ready to gather some more glass on. We'll take this back to the bench and shape it up. One of these wood blocks. And I'll take it over to the marver and give it a little bit more shaping. I want to get it as even and symmetrical as possible. Sometimes that takes a little bit of work. So this is ready to start being blown out. So you can see inside we've got colored bubble with the clear, and as this blows out, you won't see it in this particular piece, but again, the whole bubble will take on the color. For this one, we're going to coat it with this white to do the crackle pattern. So we're going to heat it up. When it's nice and hot, the white frit sticks nicely to the bubble. And we want to get a pretty dense coat on, so we'll do multiple coats of that white frit. You can see it on a hot bubble, it sticks on there fairly nicely. And melt that in nice, and then we'll put one more coat on. Now we've got that melted in nicely. We'll start shaping the bubble and getting it ready to blow out to make the glass. Again, as symmetrical as we can get it. We'll make a better glass, make it easier, less work, less corrections as we blow it out. So heat this, and now we'll start blowing it out. First thing we're gonna do before we blow it out is cool the tip so the bottom of the glass remains decently thick while the sides are still hot, and we'll blow those out nice and thin. Cool the tip again. And now we're ready to start the crackle part of the process. First, this pipe's getting a little warm. We're going to take it to the pipe cooler. And we're going to try to get it very hot. And we're going to plunge it into that bucket of water to crackle it. What we're trying to do is to cool the outside so it cracks, but keep the inside warm enough so that when we blow on it, it'll expand the cracks and make a nice alligator pattern. And sometimes it takes a couple of dips to get it. Do that again. Should be able to see the cracks starting to form in the surface of it. We're going to do this one more time. Now we'll start blowing it out. Actually, we're going to crackle it once more. That's not quite as much crackle as I would like in there. It's looking a little better to me. Oh, here's a blow hose.
Yeah. He's attaching on a blow hose right now so that he has the capabilities of blowing into the end of his blow pipe while he's shaping it. It's really convenient because you have nice control over how much air is coming in or out rather than having somebody sit at the end of the bench and blow into it for you. Blow hard, blow softer. So he's chilling the bottom of the bubble while he blows out the sides. And now he's using the jacks to cut a neckline. So the neckline's the thinnest part of the whole bubble. It's right at the end of the blowpipe. And this is where it's going to break off later. So he's getting that ball nice and hot so he can shape it some more. Now he's going to use gravity to stretch it out, and it'll start looking more like a cup rather than a ball. If you wanted to make a bowl, then he could leave it nice and squat. He could even squat it up more if you'd like a more squat bowl. So he's going to use his jacks to smooth out the sides, and I'm here with the paddle for whenever he needs me to start flattening the bottom.
We'll take one more heat.
Okay.
Didn't get quite as much crackle in there as would have liked, but still an interesting pattern. Okay, pedal on, nice and hard.
So he's cooling and rounding the sides while he blows in. And I'm flattening the bottom.
And I'll put a bit on there. When you've got the color on the outside of a piece, a lot of times they'll put a bit of clear glass so that when the punty rod attaches and it is later broken off, it doesn't interrupt the color pattern. You can still see it through the clear.
So I have a solid rod. I'm getting a little bit of glass. And I'm gonna hold it over here for Mark. So I'm just holding, he's in control.
Flip. Stick it on and cast it off.
Now we have a nice little bit, or a nice little clear patty on the bottom. So you can get it hot and we'll flatten it down again.
Okay, paddle on nice and hard. I think I got to give you a little more heat. I'll be right back.
And we're gonna do it one more time just to make sure that bottom is nice and crisp and flat.
Okay, so that's better. Ooh, that got weird, huh?
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Okay. Watch your sides. You want a punty? You want to do it again?
Now let's stick it up.
So he's done working at the bottom of the piece. I'm going to bring him a punty so we can work on the top. I have a solid rod. I'm going into the furnace and getting a little bit of clear glass. I'm going to use the table to shape it. Mark likes it nice and pointy, so I'll give it a nice point. Give it a little heat and bring it over to him. You ready?
Yep.
So he's going to plop it on the middle of the bottom of the piece, roll it around, scooch it so it's definitely in the middle. Put a little bit of water on his neck with the tweezers and give it a bonk. The vibration will break it off at that cold spot. So now we can heat up the lip and start shaping it.
And since that one blew out a little bit on the large side, not as narrow as I'd like it for a cup, I think we're going to change plans, go to plan B, and we're going to make a little bowl out of this instead.
So in glass blowing, we're always trying to tell the glass what to do. It takes a long time before that happens all the time. We're still learning and practicing, and sometimes we adjust our agendas accordingly. This wants to be a bowl, so we're going to make it a bowl.
Want to start a black lip wrap, Tom?
Yep.
So we're just going to change plans a little bit. You can see how it got a little squatter and wider than it really should be for a drinking glass.
So Mark wants a lip wrap. I'm getting a little bit of clear glass from the furnace on a solid rod, and I'm going to roll in the black color frit for a lip wrap. You want me to go through it twice? So he wants black. I'm rolling in the black. I'll pick it up twice. Now instead of clear glass on the end of my rod, I have black. I'll get it hot, give it a nice pointy shape, and bring it over to him. So when I bring the lip wrap, I'm going to stand right where you are.
You ready?
No, I got to shape it. So So I'm gonna go right where you are. If you scooch like 2 feet to the left, you'll be good.
One of the things we're doing here is trying to keep this piece happy, warm enough so that it doesn't crack, and cold enough so that the shape stays where we want it while the lip wrap's being prepared. And I think we're almost there.
Yeah, so I'm getting this black so crazy hot. Just to give Mark a lot of heat to shape it and wrap it around the lip of his bowl.
So I'm gonna sit if you're ready.
I'm ready. So once more, I'm just holding it. Mark's in
Flip.
control.
So stick it on and try to apply it as evenly as we can.
And now he has a black lip for the nice bowl.
Paddle that lip in and then we'll start opening it. Light.
So he's using the jacks to start opening and rounding it out. I've got a wooden paddle and I'm just smoothing the lip out for him. He's now preparing to use the Sophietta. So he's getting it nice and hot and he's going to use this tool called the Sophietta to add air into his bowl. Now that we're off the blowpipe, this is what we have to use. So he'll put it into the opening of the bowl, puff through the end. And this is a nice way to open up pieces rather than forcing them and giving them a bunch of tool marks. You puff it out with the air. So he's rolling and puffing and you can see the shoulder of the bowl right here pooped out. And that will be that much less tool marks to open up the bowl. Once more, he's heating it up in the glory hole and shaping it. So notice it's a dance back and forth between working it at the bench, getting it hot, working it at the bench. So you constantly want to be working as hot as you can, bouncing back and forth. And that's a very challenging thing to work so hot.
Oops. Heat it again, we'll do that one more time.
So right now he's using the papers to shape it. So that's just regular newspaper, folded up and soaked in water. This is the closest we can get to shaping the glass with our hands, and it's a very convenient tool. It's also a very cheap tool, which doesn't happen in glass blowing ever. So he's heating and shaping, heating and shaping. He's using the papers to give a firm foundation while he rolls, and the bowl will open up to the shape of his hand and the shape of the papers.
Well, that's not bad. We'll just clean it up a little on the top.
Yeah, you have one little...
I see a dent in it there. It's tough when you're using a lot of color. Each of the colors heats and has different characteristics. The more color you add, the harder it is to produce a nice, even, round shape.
So I'm getting ready to box it. I'm putting on some Kevlar gloves because my glass is still really, really hot. He's giving it an extra flash in the heat, make sure everything's warm and happy. And then he'll use his tweezers to put a little bit of water on that punty. That will shock the punty and enable it to separate from the bottom of the bowl when all goes well.
And we won't torch this one.
Okay, so with a nice tap, the vibration breaks it off there, and our bowl is separated free. And now we have a nice crackle bowl. You can see the outside's white, the inside's a nice blue color. And I gotta put it in the annealer before it gets too cold and cracks. So that runs at 960 degrees all day long. We put all of our finished work in here. At the end of the day, we run it through a program where it slowly comes down to room temperature overnight at a rate where the glass won't crack. So you can see right here, when I opened the door, it went down to 935, but it's catching right back up to 960.